Can you use Microsoft Office or Microsoft 365 on this thing? Let's find out. So I started off my tech career journey with the 2018 iPad Pro, and I was still working in a corporate environment. I was using an IBM ThinkPad, people in the office were using Microsoft Office and the Microsoft suite of products, but I wanted to use the iPad Pro in conjunction with everything that was happening, and there wasn't much content out there. So I started to learn myself and then teach people how to use this beautiful beast in that corporate environment, and lo and behold, now we're here. So now it's 7 years later, and now we're on Microsoft 365, and things have changed a little bit in that landscape in terms of how the iPad Pro works with Microsoft products. So that's what we're going to do in this video. We're going to go over the big three and see exactly how well they work on an iPad Pro, and if Microsoft can run on your iPad Pro if you are an iPad Pro only user and you absolutely need the Microsoft suite of products. So let's get into the first one, which is going to be Microsoft Word. So as you can see right here, we have the big four. We have Excel, Word, PowerPoint, and then the brand new Microsoft 365 application, which is kind of like your holistic dashboard of everything that involves your Microsoft 365 account. So the first tab is going to be the Microsoft 365 Copilot chat, which is essentially their AI, which right now, as you can see, isn't out yet for the iPad application. But then you open this up, which is going to be your OneDrive look. So this is going to be a look at all the different applications, as well as all the different files that you've used in the past. So you can see that you have all these different ones that I've opened up over the last couple days. And then you have the whole My Files view, which lets you see exactly all the applications you've been using. Then you have this camera New Capture and My Captures, which allows you to scan, extract, and even record different aspects. So this is great for PDF scanning. So scan and save your ID cards. You also have the ability to translate pages. So this is going to be a big push for their Copilot AI, which is going to be helpful across the board. And then you have this plus button, which allows you to start creating based on anything that you have right here. So you can actually start a Word document, a PowerPoint, Excel, start a PDF. And what's nice about this is if I do open up a Word document, I am opening up, let's say if I want to open up this template right here, you can see a couple things here. So the first thing you're going to notice is that I'm actually still inside of the M365 Copilot application. It doesn't kind of just send me off to the Microsoft Word application, which is great to see. So I know that I'm inside the correct application, but it works normally and it works as the entire Microsoft Word application, meaning that it's not going to be a watered down version because you're not in the Microsoft Word app. But we'll get into all the different details of Microsoft Word as we go along the video. But at least you know you're able to access these documents directly from the application, the Microsoft 365 application, which again is going to be a great holistic view overall. And then you have this option right here, which is all the different applications that you can use or tools that are built into here. So for instance, they have an abundance of PDF tools. You open this up and you know that you have the ability to sign PDFs, to scan PDFs, pictures to PDFs, and basically do a bunch of conversions and all these tools, which normally cost money or normally require a different service, that are completely built into the Microsoft 365 application. And then you also have your notes, which you can open as well. So if you open up these notes, you're able to add different notes and sticky notes. Then you have your different alerts or activities. And then finally, you do have this down here, which allows you to add different applications, as well as your settings menu down here, which allows you to manage all your settings as you need be. And then lastly, you have the ability to manage your account from up here. But that is the Microsoft 365 application, a holistic view into your Microsoft 365 account. And this application has gotten better and better over years, especially right now. This is very recent. This new Outlook, this new UI is less than about a week or two old. So definitely get in here if you do want to play with this one right now. But now before we get into the big boy, which is going to be the Microsoft Excel, which is what most people want to know about, let's hear from our sponsor, Paperlike. The Paperlike screen protector was actually the very first accessory I ever bought for my original 2018 iPad Pro. It absolutely changed the way I use my iPad, giving me that real paper feel right on my screen, and it's been almost 7 years and I still make sure that I have one for all of my iPads. I recently got the new iPad Mini 7 and I knew I needed to throw a Paperlike screen protector on there because it just adds a whole new dimension with how I engage with the iPad Mini. Paperlike's nanodot tech gives you the natural resistance of paper, letting you take neater notes, draw with precision, and even makes the sound of pencil on paper. Combine that with the new haptics of the Pencil Pro, and you have a match made in heaven. It is made for creators and doers. It's perfect for artists, designers, students, or anyone who wants the real paper experience in their digital workflow. And with its microbead tech, Paperlike keeps your screen clear and near glare free, making it as beautiful to look at as it is to write on. Not only do they give you 2 Paperlikes on there just in case you mess up, but they also are so confident in their product that they offer a 100-day satisfaction guarantee. So if you're ready to fall in love with writing on your iPad, give Paperlike a try with the link below, So big shout out to Paperlike for always supporting the channel, but now let's get into Microsoft Excel, because this is the one that everybody wants to know about. This is the one that either is a hit or miss depending on the person that you are, because I do believe if you're even an above average Excel user, then this is going to be more than enough for you. Now, if you're a master Excel user and you live in this and this is all you do all day, then maybe there are some things missing, but let's go over this to see exactly what's going on, because I do think that the iPadOS application for Microsoft Excel is one of the more beautiful apps we have in the App Store, and kudos to Microsoft for really putting some research and development, especially on the development side for these applications, and not just putting iPadOS to the wayside. So when you do open up Excel, this is going to be the dashboard you get. You get your most recent files, which is very familiar. You also have the ability to access any shared files, any cloud files, and then finally, of course, your favorite files. But if you go into the recents, you get to see exactly what's going on here. And then you have your plus button here, which allows you to start something based off a template or something from a blank workbook. So let's open up this easy monthly budget, and you can see that everything's gonna be very familiar, and if anything, it's gotten more and more desktop-like because of all the shortcuts that have come with it. But it's very familiar. On the top here, you have all your different text edit modes. So if I do go in here and I double tap on here to edit something, you do see that I'm able to edit it very simply, just like you would on any other Excel sheet. We'll check that off to make sure that it's done. And of course, you can change the type of font, the font size, the font format, as well as the color and things of that nature. So again, very familiar if you are used to any sort of Microsoft Excel for that matter. Then you have your Insert tab, which allows you to insert pivot tables, which is brand new. Pivot tables used to be manageable through the iPadOS application of Excel, but now you can actually create pivot tables from scratch and insert them right here, which is something that, again, is relatively new. And I knew that master Excel users, or people that use pivot tables in Excel very often, were missing this in iPadOS. And then because you are using an iPad, and the iPad has a camera and a LiDAR scanner, and you are using this almost quote-unquote as a mobile device, you do have the ability to access your camera for certain things and insert. So you can add data from picture, so it just pulls up the camera. If you want to scan a document or something like that, you can also add pictures from here. So if you want to place them over cells, you can do that. So you're able to leverage the different hardware that's on the iPad that most laptops don't have. But again, you can insert shapes, text boxes, get recommendations, which are in here, add charts and comments, so you have everything that you would need there. Then, of course, like I said, this is an iPad, so you do have the ability to grab your Apple Pencil, tap on there, and then start drawing on this canvas as if it's any other note canvas, which is great to see. And you don't even need an Apple Pencil. You can actually just draw with touch. So if I tap on here and then start to use my finger, it'll start to draw with touch, which is great to see. So you do have the basic ability to draw and annotate in real time with your Apple Pencil as well as your finger if you do not have an Apple Pencil. Then, of course, you have your page layout. You have all your formulas, which again, there's abundance of different formulas you can choose from auto sum to recents, financial, logical, text-based ones, and you even have a huge list over here of even more functions, as well as a little calculator which you can access when needed. Then you have all your data organization, so you're able to organize your data based on normal filters like ascending, descending, also add more data from picture like you did earlier. You have your ability to review, and then finally view it as you see fit. But again, like I said, there are certain shortcuts that are now available. Like for instance, if I go into this tab right here, and if I want to grab this, do Shift and select most of these, this simple shortcut, the ability to shift and select multiple cells, was not available before. So that is now available in Excel across all different Excel sheets. And then another thing that people are going to have questions are, can you have multiple instances of Microsoft Excel? So if I want to do a split view, let's go over here to the side. I can actually open up a brand new Microsoft Excel, grab the data that I had over here. So we'll Control C here. We can go over here, Control V, and now all that data is over here. Of course, it's hashed out because it's using different formulas, but it's always good to know that that's available. And then another thing that did come up, again, small quality of life improvements, is going to be that double tap gesture. So for instance, if I go over here, open this up, and I want to make this as big as possible or as small as possible to line up with what's in the cell, I can now double tap to make it bigger, and it'll automatically make it smaller as well to line up. So as you can see, I double tapped and it was good to go. And everything that you are familiar with from a double tap and a right click formation is going to be there as well. So that's all going to be very familiar. But I do encourage you to go in here, play with it. There is a 1-month free trial like I mentioned, and see exactly what's missing or what's there depending on what your use cases are, because I think you're going to be pleasantly surprised. So now let's get into my personal favorite, which is going to be Microsoft PowerPoint. Again, the M4 iPad Pro and its display is second to none. It's top in class. So getting all these beautiful visuals and being able to use Microsoft PowerPoint and see exactly what it looks like, this is going to be the best case scenario in my opinion. So when you do open it up, you are usually opened up to the home, which is going to be similar to all the other applications. So you have your recents, your shared, your cloud, your favorites, and the ability to open up any one of these PowerPoint presentations. Then you also have the plus sign. So let's jump into one of these and pick one that has a couple assets so we can start to play with them. Let's open up with this birthday slideshow. So here you can see that it's going to be very familiar to anybody who's used Microsoft PowerPoint in the past, whether it is on macOS, on Windows, on any other machine. But again, visually, I think it looks the best on an iPad because look how beautiful it is on this display. But you can manage it very simply. You can add new slides, your layouts, you have all your different text edits. So if I go down here, double tap on here, then you get all the different text formatting features that come up here. But what's nice about this that you might notice is that when I do tap on an asset that's a shape or something like that, you get a brand new variable kind of tool in the toolbar that shows up on the right hand side, which is going to be a picture, which again, this is going to be another picture, but if I tap on here, that's going to be a shape. So you can see that it variably changes, and it gives you all the different options down here based on what you're clicked on, which I think is very smart and very intuitive. But if we continue on, I do want to go through all the different options first. You have your different insert options, so you can insert text boxes, cameos, tables, images, which again, you can do photos, you can access your camera if you want to, because again, you do have all the hardware that comes with your iPad. So I did take a picture right here and all the different things that you're used to. So you're able to resize it, you can turn it around if you want to, you can right click to get a bunch of different options, or double tap to get a bunch of different options. And you also have all your shortcuts. So obviously you can just delete it, but you can Apple Z it as well. You can Control C, and if you do want to open up another Microsoft PowerPoint presentation, you can do so. But before I do that, let's go into Excel and maybe we want to drop that image into this Excel sheet. And you can see that it does drop into this Excel sheet. And now you're working off of both of these with the same exact data. But as you can see, you do have all these options from an insert situation. And of course, you have all your add-ins as well, which is great to see. Then again, you are using an iPad, so I do have your Apple Pencil. You can tap on here, and you can just draw on it like you would any other Apple Pencil or any other drawing tool. You can also draw with touch. You have your ink to text and also your ink to shape. So the ink to shape is something that's familiar if you've been using Apple Notes for a while. So if I draw a square here, of course, it's not going to be a perfect square, but if I do ink to shape and click on this lasso right here, it's a little bit more of a couple steps compared to what Apple does, but I circle it with the lasso, press ink to shape, and it's going to turn it into a perfect square for me based on what it thinks it's going to be. And same thing, it goes with text. So if I draw hello, and then I want to do the lasso, we'll lasso that, and then we'll do ink to text, and then it's going to type in hello for me. So it's going to be able to do ink to text as well as ink to shape based on the little lasso tool. And then of course, these are now assets that you can click on and move around and treat as different shapes. So this one is a normal shape that I can resize, move around, and then edit as any other shape. But now we can get into the design standpoint over here. So you have the ability to change the slide size, orientation, format the background, even go into the designer. So if you go into the designer, it'll give you different outcomes based on different assets that you add into the PowerPoint presentation, which is going to be very familiar if you are a PowerPoint user. Then you have your transitions, your animations, your slideshow effects, being able to start it from current, from where you are, and of course you can move through just like any other PowerPoint presentation. And one of the coolest parts right here is going to be Rehearse with Coach, which allows you to, again, rehearse exactly what you're saying. So if you're practicing for some sort of presentation, or if you have to recite a presentation that you have to give to a bunch of people in a meeting room, then this is going to be great because it's going to understand your pace, it's going to understand how many words you're putting in, it's going to understand what you need to do better. So if we pause that, we'll stop it, then you get a bunch of little statistics based on what you were talking about. So overall, words per minute, my pace was a little bit high, but overall it gets a little bit better and my pitch is pretty good. So you're able to rehearse this over and over until you get it correct. So that is Microsoft PowerPoint. And one last thing to show you is that I am able to add a second Microsoft PowerPoint instance and work off those together down here. So now let's get into Microsoft Word, which is one that, again, it's very self-explanatory. People have been using Word for years now at this point, but very familiar. It's going to be the same recent, shared, cloud, as well as pin files this time. So let's open up something that has, maybe a couple assets as well as text. So here you can see that we have a huge document right here, which looks to be in landscape orientation as well, but it's going to be very familiar. And as you can see, when you do kind of go over different points and different assets and different text, your cursor is going to change a little bit. So the normal cursor, of course, is a little circle, which I put a little red outline. It's not always like that. You can do that in your settings. I'll show you that in a separate video. But if you hover over text, it's going to turn it into a text cursor, which allows you to grab this and then start highlighting and making whatever edits you need. But then if you go over an image, it's going to turn into this kind of resizing cursor, which lets you move things around as it sees fit. And then again, it goes over the text and it's going to switch back and forth. So I love the variable and dynamic nature of the cursor as needed. But you're able to edit text just like you would any other document with your text formatting up here. You're able to insert anything from shapes to photos to tables to stuff from your camera roll to text boxes to stock images. Even icons are in here if you want to check out icons, which are searchable and free to use if you are a Microsoft 365 subscriber. You also have stock 3D models, which are great to see. You can add equations. There's an abundance of different things you can add to your Word document very easily. Of course, you can draw as well, very similar to what I showed you with Excel. You can change the layout by adding margins, page borders, you can change your orientation, size, columns, and breaks, as well as review everything, view, add references like a table of contents, and lastly, you do have that variable table over here, or the variable tool, which changes based on what you're clicking on. And then of course, each one of these applications does have Microsoft Copilot built into it, which again is your AI assistant, what lets you ideate, lets you change up formatting, lets you, again, summarize things, or change verbiage, or change the tone of stuff very, very easily, and I do recommend playing with it when you do see fit. And then lastly, you can share this with your OneDrive if needed, or send a copy. And then you have your three dots over here, which lets you do things like send a copy, export, or even print based on some sort of AirPlay or wireless printer. So it's very easy to use. And again, just like the other ones, if you do want to add multiple instances and do a split view and open up another Word document and then work off of both of them, you can do that. And then if you want, you can even add maybe this one as a slide over and maybe move this one around if needed. So if you need to have one big, and this function works with any of the Microsoft applications that I mentioned earlier. So that is Microsoft in a nutshell. I think Microsoft for iPadOS is actually an amazing application ecosystem. If you are in the Microsoft world, they're beautiful applications. They work extremely well. All your shortcuts are there. There might be one or two things missing compared to maybe the Windows version or the desktop version. But for me, for somebody who's maybe an average to above average user, it's more than enough and such an easy win because, again, it's a beautiful application and UI. So let me know what you think based on what I've been showing you, and let's finish up this video, everybody. So I, for one, came out relatively impressed with the Microsoft suite of products on the iPad Pro. Back in 2018, like I mentioned, when I first started using them, they were fine in their own right, but there was still a lot of limitations. They were watered down, there weren't a lot of options, and things like pivot tables, things like being able to have multiple instances of the same application, that just wasn't a thing that was happening back in 2018. But now, fast forward basically 7 years, and the suite of products that Microsoft 365 offers is extremely robust for the iPad Pro, especially if you're somebody that's kind of in that beginner to average tier user and you aren't a master Microsoft Excel user. But even for those master Excel users, I think the iPad Pro can be a great supplemental device to your current workflow, or maybe even your primary device, depending on what kind of functions you're using. But for my personal use cases, these applications are more than enough in both a personal and business environment, depending on what your kind of profession is. But let me know in the comment down below what you think. Would you use Microsoft 365? Would it be worth the price point? How do you like the look of the applications, the functionality of the applications? I think they look great, I think they work great, and I would recommend the Microsoft suite of products as somebody who's, again, being forced to use the Microsoft Office suite if you are in a corporate world, in a Microsoft environment, and you are using something like maybe an IBM ThinkPad or some sort of Windows machine that you want to use supplementally with your iPad Pro. But again, like I said, let me know in the comment down below what you think. That'll do it for this video. If you made it to the end, leave a little dolphin in the comments down below. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel as well, because it helps motivate us to make videos like this one and really give you deep dives on what's worth it or not in the Apple world. But if you guys want to watch more videos like this one, definitely check out one of these videos right here. And until next time, I'm Fernando. Peace, everybody. If you want the wallpaper that's used in this video, become a channel member and you'll be able to get that one as well as hundreds of other ones. Until next time, peace.